Hey, so since we did our video on the SKS and the Kel-Tec Sub 2000, we've had people coming forward with their rifles that they wanted me to review, which is really nice. I want to put a thank you out there for that. And today, therefore, we have a Norinco Type 97 to show you guys. And this is a really interesting rifle. It's a bullpup design, which I really like in terms of the feel of it in the hands. Now, I don't have a lot of experience with these rifles where I've just borrowed it, but I put a few rounds through it just to familiarize myself. I will safety check it. There's no magazine in right now, and if I pull back the charging handle, there's nothing in there. So we're safe. Now, my understanding is this came out in 3 different iterations or generations here in Canada. Gen 1 came with a top handle instead of this rail that runs along the top here. And I've never had an M16 in my hands, but if I picture it, I think that's what like the Vietnam era M16 would have had, was like a carry handle there maybe at the top. And that made it difficult though to mount optics. So to bring these rifles up to sort of a modern standard, there was first a company designed a rail to go across here. And then the second and third generations of these that were produced came with the rail already built on the rifle. Now, that said, it makes it a little bit harder to fit a scope on this and iron sights. And so it seems like the answer for that are these offset iron sights here. And those come out at an angle. I don't want to point the firearm in that direction, but they come off here in an angle, and you would just tilt your gun a little bit to see through them. So that's pretty interesting, and I like iron sights because I'm not big on technology and kind of old school that way, but it is nice, I'll tell you, to look down through a scope, and even at a 3-power scope that this one is, makes a big difference for my eyes to be able to see the target. Anyways, I'm going to compare and contrast a little bit with the SKS, because that's a rifle that a lot of people here in Canada are familiar with. And the first thing that I really like about this is the feel of it. Although it's a fairly heavy rifle, the weight is so close to your body in here that when you shoulder this and you just tuck your elbow in against your body, you don't really feel any weight at all. And with an SKS pointing down range, I find the weight of it is fairly out front, and it's quite heavy on your supporting arm when you're trying to hold it up. And so this is really nice that way. Now, there's other things in the ergonomics people don't like, and one of which is the safety being back here. You've got to rotate this thing from here to there for fire. And yeah, that's a little bit difficult to get at when it's back here, and especially on a cold day like today with some gloves on. If you'd had to come back here and try to flick that switch, it's not going to happen very easily. The other thing is the mag release is a little button over here. And I don't mind that so much though. When you're using it, you just cup your hand up here, you press the button, pull your magazine out, and put your other one in. So that's not too bad. It seems to be a really well-built rifle. I don't know about the reliability though. That's what I'm more interested in today, is just to put some more rounds through it. So we've done, like I say, maybe 20 rounds so far, and I'm going to put another 20 or 40 rounds through it. I don't know, whatever we have here. And I have had one malfunction already today, and I'll show here in a minute what that round looks like. Other than that, though, everything fired well. These look like scary rifles. I think, you know, this is one of the ones that they'd be looking to ban here in Canada pretty soon. And my thought on it, though, is that this is built off of a Chinese military rifle, a more modern one. I think it's called the QBZ. Now, that rifle would have likely full auto and semi-auto. So right there, most militaries have that capability nowadays of going in a full auto or semi-auto setting. And so any civilian rifles that we get here in Canada already have been dropped back to semi-auto. And then furthermore, we already have a law here in Canada on magazines that you can only have 5 rounds in it. And 5 rounds does not give you a lot of firepower because really a lot of your rifle's potential comes in how many rounds you can feed it, how you feed it. So, you know, we have machine guns that are belt fed that can probably hold hundreds of rounds, and that's a mechanism for feeding that rifle. And if they had to put in a 5-round magazine into that machine gun, you know, obviously that's not going to work out very well. And so the type of magazine and how well it feeds in the rifle, it is important, as well as how well the rifle itself functions. And so there's a lot of different things that go into a rifle's capability. This one here may have a little bit of questionable reliability, and it only has a 5-round capacity, and it's semi-auto, so it's not a very capable military rifle. This is why they call them military-style rifles, because they're not military rifles. This would be, you know, at 5 rounds better for maybe hunting coyotes or something. And then the other thing about that is the magazines that it comes with are these big magazines, and they're pinned to 5 rounds. And to carry around a bunch of those, if you were in like a, you know, Ukraine-Russia kind of situation, I don't think you want to be carrying 20 of these magazines with 5 rounds in them around. Just the bulk and the weight of it. You really have to have a usable 30-round magazine if you're going to have a firearm that has any military application. Now, versus the SKS, I believe the SKS's reliability is there, and it can be fed relatively quickly using those stripper clips. And the stripper clips are lightweight. You can carry a lot on you. And so I actually think the SKS is a far more capable rifle in most ways than what this here would be. The only difference in capability, quite honestly, aside from, you know, the nice feel of this, the weight of it in your hands, would be the optic. And because with an SKS you can't really mount an optic on it. You can try different things, but I wouldn't recommend anybody alter their SKS from its original form, because if you get into putting a rail on the top, then you can't feed stripper clips down in it, and they often don't hold zero. Just a disaster, I think, when you get into modifying it. But you know, used the way an SKS comes originally, I think it's probably a far more usable rifle, quite honestly, than what this is. But we're going to test out now and take a few shots and see what we think of it, and let you know how the reliability was after we tested a little bit more. Here's a look at the round that malfunctioned on my first few rounds that I shot through the rifle. And yeah, you could see it's still there, the projectile, but it's driven back in the casing. Alright, so I'm not going to fire too many rounds here today because I've only got 2 magazines. I got to reload them all in between. It's a bit of a pain. It's cold out here too. I'm going to try with the mittens here, but I think this is a no-go in terms of operating this with gloves on. Well, I could get that. Most of the rifle is polymer, which is good for the winter. But the mag well over here, this is metal. And so in cold enough weather, any moisture there might affect your fingers. So you do want to be able to use gloves in the winter time. And let's give this a go. So we'll put the safety back on first. Okay. Safety off. Yeah, I could see why people don't like this magazine release. Trying to figure out as I go here what's the easiest for the reload. Do you come up in behind it and push it in and then try to slide it out, or do you come around the front and push in and slide it out? Hard to say. Magazines don't fit in there very smoothly either. Ooh, we're fumbling. So there it is. Not a huge test by any stretch. We only did 40 rounds here today in all. One issue out of the 40 rounds, so whatever that percentage is. But otherwise, everything fed really well. I would say, you know, with the right magazines, it's pretty reliable. It tucks in here under your arm. If you were to carry this in the woods, you hardly feel the weight at all. I would compare it to like my Ruger 1022. Feels a lot better, therefore, than the SKS. For out, if you were hunting with this and walking any distance, I think this would be a beautiful rifle to go out, you know, coyote hunting, whatever people do. Hopefully we'll get to do a few more reviews. If some people in the local area want to drop by some more rifles to me, we'll get those done and on the channel, because this time of year I'm just cutting firewood in the woods and it's really monotonous, so you can't show that, you know, too much. And so this is kind of a fun break for us to go and do some gun reviews. So I really do appreciate anybody who wants to loan me a rifle to do this kind of thing with. I'm having fun at it, and I'm really enjoying the rifles. It's been fun to shoot them down here, so hopefully we'll have some more of those videos for you guys. Thank you very much for watching. Like and subscribe.